Hello, everyone. My name is Jorrel, one of the co-founders of Mintplex, and I'm here, as always, joined by my co-founder, Mr. Timothy Karabat. See, we have to say yay because, you never know if Tim's going to be in an episode or not. I mean, it's as if he's like, not co-hosting this or something.
As if there's no consistency between if I'm going to be here or not. So
yeah. If you see like a solo podcast, and it's just me, it's just not.
That's just a monologue.
Yeah, it's just a monologue, dude. That's not
just
entertaining.
A monologue.
Yeah. So, anyways, welcome to the 18th episode of the Mintplexity podcast. Jake is not joining us on this one. He has obviously better things to do, and we don't. This is the best thing we could think of doing on a Friday morning. I'm just kidding. We have so much other stuff to do, but we got to do this. We're doing this for our fans. We're doing this for our listeners.
This is important.
Yeah, important. So, but anyway,
2 fans.
Oh yeah, the 2 bands we have was Pop Bisley and the Stone Stripes.
Pop Bisley and the Stone Stripes. Shout out to both of you.
Thank you guys so much for the constant
support
and
comments. At least for being engaged. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
being engaged and all that.
No, but anyways, let's what's it called? We'll talk a little bit today just about subscriptions and that type of thing, because we just recently launched the subscriptions NFT, feature or product. I don't know what to call it, like a just a contract feature or something. But
it's a contract. I mean, it's standalone.
It's a standalone. It's a huge file. It's one of the biggest contracts we've deployed for sure. But we'll talk about that a little bit and why I think this is such an important move forward for us. I think that in itself can cover our podcast. So, but anyways, let's just dive straight into it. Like, why subscriptions? Why now? And what does this mean for the space going forward?
Yeah. So this is actually perfectly timed as well, because Proof Collective or Proof XYZ, the team behind Moonbirds, just announced that they're actually dropping a new collection that is collaborated with Beeple to do something to benefit holders. I have no idea what that might be, but they're trying to benefit their holders. And with Proof of Conference being projected, and then Proof was like, psych, just kidding, and then they canceled it. Like, I don't know how much longer they are for the space. And let's just talk about why Proof might not be much longer for this space, and also other projects in this space that are all susceptible to the same terminal diagnosis. And let's just take a step back and think about where NFTs were last year, right? There were hundreds of projects being launched a month, all of which were doing to somewhat impressive mint numbers, right? They were, the people who founded the project were earning a significant amount of money for the project treasury. And these treasuries now, a year later, are drying up. And the only thing that was ever replenishing those treasuries for any of the projects that you know and love were one of 3 things. Outside venture capital funding. So for those, we're talking about Yuga Labs, we're talking about Cool Cats, we're talking about Azuki, we're talking about Artifact being acquired by Nike, and Doodles as well, if I didn't mention them. The second thing that people have been doing to try to keep their treasuries alive is dropping collection after collection, hoping that brings in new entrants. But that is not sustainable. And I'll talk more about why that is later. And then third is reliance on royalties, which, as we all know, if you've been in this space in the last 4 or 5 months, is just, impossible to rely on. Royalties aren't enforced across marketplaces because marketplaces would rather cater to traders than they would to creators. Of course, those of you who know traders or are traders probably think you're providing a lot of value to the space when you truthfully aren't. It's just that's the only way that people know how to add value right now. I hate to say this, and not to I have an axe to grind against people who flip NFTs. I don't care how you make your money, but you are actively killing communities and projects, and that's just a fact of the matter. And it's because everyone has kind of turned NFTs. When they first started out, it was all about community. It was all about being part of something, and now NFTs are treated more like commodities. And I mean, the SEC is starting to see them as such because of this mentality where people are all just worried about floor. What can I do? Like, how can we pump the floor? You know, like Dogecoin becomes the icon on Twitter for a couple of days, and everyone in Doge community is like floor, like, oh, the token price is going up. Like, that shouldn't be what it's about, right? That's not what NFTs were certainly about. Maybe ERC20s, but that was never what NFTs were supposed to be about. They were never about, you know, making money and flipping them. It's just quickly what it became. And that became a very profitable endeavor. So marketplaces incentivize that behavior because they made money off the backs of traders flipping and ultimately killing communities by driving their floor price down. Now, why is what we launched yesterday so relevant? And that's because creators, all of you who are launching communities, think of this as a business, right? I know you're probably trying to launch like a brand or just something for the vibes, and that's fine, right? The problem is that your sentiments may be that, but holder sentiments will not. And holders are going to want to see the floor price go up right now because they don't have any other metric for how good a community is, right? Cool Cats is down to 1.1 ETH, right? That was previously like a 6 or 7 ETH collection. And everybody thinks Cool Cats is dead because the floor price dropped. And that isn't even true, right? So what subscription communities allow you to do, which is what we're calling them, is instead of when someone mints your NFT and they own it for life and are always in your Discord badgering you about the floor price, now when they mint, they're actually buying into your community for a set time frame. So it could be 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. You set the fee and the time interval. So you would say, oh, it's 0.01 ETH per month. If someone wants to only buy in for 1 month, no big deal. Someone wants to buy in for 6, that's fine. If you want to have lifetime mints, you still can with our subscription communities. All of these things are possible. So you get all the levers. But now when someone isn't happy about your project community, they can go and sell their NFT as they normally would, or just let it expire and someone else can come and remint it later. It's the same 10K collection, but as people start to stop holding, if for whatever reason they want to stop holding and not renew or extend, it just becomes available as if you added another token to the collection. The token becomes remintable by a new buyer who actually wants to be a part of your community. So we've completely changed the game now for creators, where creators actually can focus on building a community, because if you don't want to be a part of it, okay, fine. Go and sell the couple months that you have left on your subscription, or just let it expire and it's no longer your problem, right? If you don't want to be a part of it, that's not the creator's problem. The creator is focused on building a community and something of value. And if people align and believe in that, they will mint for longer and you will earn income always over time. Because with all NFT collections, you can go and make 100, 200K, 1.6 mil on a mint. But as we've seen, when ETH price changes and you have to also keep paying for stuff as time goes on. You have to hire a team, you pay for marketing events, you pay for, design, a website, the next project that you're planning on doing, yada, yada, yada. All those things cost money. And then in a year's time, you're only left with 50K and you're on a 60K a month burn rate, and then you have to shutter your doors. And that right there is what has happened to every single project and what is soon to come to many projects out there who did not have the fortune of finding venture capital funding from outside. These people, their treasuries are drying up. And whether that be because of they, minted at 4 when ETH was 4,000 and now it's 1,000 and they lost all of the money by just letting it sit on chain. Like, these are all real diagnoses for why communities will wind up drying up. And we've already seen so many follow that route. And honestly, that's not good. It's not good for holders. It's not good for creators. It's not good for the communities that are on these that are in these spaces. With subscription communities, you now have people paying because they want to be there as if they were a part of any other community that you would pay for. I mean, there's not any other groups out there where you usually don't have a community due, some kind of like fee that you pay to participate with. It's the same thing. It's better for creators. It's better for holders. And ultimately it fucks over traders, which makes me happy. So,
we talk a lot about how these like memberships and whatnot, use cases that are popping up in the space. They're very hard focused on like seasonality, right? You're talking about like, oh, season 1 drop, season 2 drop, season 3 drop. It's like, cool. Like these are great. They're really nice commemorative stuff. But at the end of the day, it's a cost for the community to have to continue to deploy new contracts every year just to hit those like seasons, right? So in this case, like you can actually functionally run a business, SaaSify it. Heck, you can do 1 year subscription, right? And then they just have to renew every year. Like you can, have a time when it's open for subscription, for 1 year subs, and then you can close it, and then you can do that next year again. And it's all done with the same contract. And now you actually can focus on growing your community to your ideal size, right? Because the cool thing is, like with subscription stuff, you can continue to grow that community or cap it however often that you want to. And that's just
you can change the collection size with these contracts. So if you have 10,000 people, but then you think for season 2, we're going to grow to 20,000 members because the demand is there, just add the metadata and increase the token size to 20,000. And now there are 10,000 new tokens to mint. Exactly. Likewise, you can also cut the supply as well. So for creators, this is what the future of NFT communities look like. And I'm sure people will have opinions on why that is or isn't the case. But I'm very adamant that this is what the future of an NFT community looks like, because what we have right now is unsustainable. You make one-time revenue, holders expect a lifetime of value, but the money will always go down because you can't even rely on royalties now. So the only way to do that is to have the community actually want to be a part of it, which is what you would do everywhere else on the planet Earth. You have community members that essentially pay in to be a part of the community because they actually want to be there, not because they're speculating on what your community might or might not do.
Yeah. And the big thing as well, right? And I think to kind of like cap it as well, is this model is not foreign to most businesses. You can think of like an arcade. You can think of a Dave & Buster's where you're charging a card and it's only usable for 1 day, right? Those are the types of things. Like when we talk about utility, you are buying access to that utility for a set period of time.
Yeah.
The incentive structure of these businesses to create utility post in order for people to feel encouraged to trade or to hold, whatever it may be, was just never a sustainable way of doing things because there's no additive value, right? It's all people speculating instead of using,
Yeah, and I've said this before. How are you as a creator leading a community, right? And trying to build something, a brand or an identity or some on-chain collective. How are you supposed to do that when the only reliable way of earning future income is to have people in that community leave it by selling their NFT so that you can collect a royalty? The incentive for community members is to sell at the top so that they can make money and you make money. But at the end of the day, all you wound up with is a shrinking community because unique holders goes down. The number of unique holders actually goes down over time. And all the people who remain are going to be diehard holders. And that's great, but you can never, ever monetize off of that ever again. And and I'm not saying that like
is actually really bad, in the past NFT structure, if you're holding, you get no royalties. Like if your community is so strong and they identify heavily with this NFT, guess what? They're never going to trade. And guess what? You're never going to make any more money than your initial mint.
Right. All of the NFTs funneled down to diamond handers, and diamond handers, while amazing for your community because they contribute the most, bar none. Those are the people who actually want to be there. But the problem is that you can never, ever ask them to keep supporting you. And the only way to continue doing that is to launch a subsequent collection, which, by the way, is not free. It costs money to launch a collection, to market it, to try to distribute it, all of these other things. That could be a very expensive operation, which removes profit from your previous launch. And now you also have to give everyone who participated in the previous launch benefits on the second launch. So there's actually less available upside for you as a creator and as a community to keep the profit from any subsequent collection after your genesis. You can expect to get half at best of the return that you got from the previous launch. And it is a diminishing return very quickly. Most projects cannot continue to launch beyond a third deployment. And you'll see that even with the largest in the space. Yuga being an exception. And the only reason I say exception is because of their distribution. So many people see them as like, oh, you buy anything Yuga, it'll go up. Although if you want evidence that this is not true, look no further than other side deeds. Like it doesn't matter what your reputation is. You can't keep launching collections to sustain a community. It isn't possible. And the only ways to survive are to keep monetizing your current community, which is totally sustainable and also beneficial using our NFT community subscriptions. Or you find a way to secure outside venture capital funding, which may or may not be aligned with your interests. So, I mean, you can pick whichever way you want to go, but I would definitely go the way of, having a community that's powered by the community. That's kind of just the way that every single organization works on planet Earth.
Every single. I mean, we use the example of gym memberships a lot, right? And even a gym membership, it expires after a certain amount of time, and then you're forced to renew it. And then in that same example we used, imagine where you could actually give the remainder of your time to somebody because you're like, oh shoot, I committed to 1 year, but like I actually don't have time, but like I can't resell this back to the gym. But if somebody wants, like an open slot, like they can, right?
If someone wants, I have a month left. If somebody's looking for a month, I got one.
Exactly. So now you can actually now take advantage of scarcity, but then also at the same time, market forces, because hey, heck, if no one's selling theirs, you can still make an offering. It's like, hey, like you have this for a year. There's no more space in this community, but I'd really like to join this community for 3 ETH.
Yeah.
And if you think that it's worth it, there you go.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Royalties still work, by the way, on this contract, just like some other features I want to go over now, knowing the context of everything of why we did it and why this is more powerful for creators. If you're a creator, the one thing you need to know is this works exactly like a regular NFT. Like it functionally and feels the same as a regular NFT. So like a Bored Ape, a Cool Cat, anything like that works the exact same. You don't need to worry about any weird quirks on like OpenSea or using any token gating tools. It works perfectly with all of them. The things that you can do as a creator that are more powerful than any other collection that's out there is you now have the ability to set like when people buy, they buy for a certain time period, which is very powerful. When it expires, that token is now remintable. It's not lost forever. Someone else can come and grab it and add money into the treasury. Additionally, you as the admin, the creator of this collection, you can go and reward your highest value members with extra time at no cost. So while someone may have to pay a renewal fee of 0.01 ETH per month, if they are a very high contributing member of your community, you may just go and find their token and extend it for another 6 months, just because, you know what, I value you being here. That is utility built into the contract. Nothing else was needed from there. The other thing is also, I touched on this, is the traditional lifetime mint. Yeah, so like that is just a normal NFT mint as you know and love them today. But you can now limit how many are in your collection. So maybe you only want to have 20 possible lifetime mints to ever occur. And maybe lifetime mints are 1 ETH, or you can go monthly for 0.01 ETH, right? Like you're allowed to do that. You can price them separately. You can enable or disable them if you don't want to have them at all. And you can set and reset their supply. So let's say you run 20, all 20 get minted out and monthlies are trickling in. And maybe you're like, you know what, let's drop another 10 lifetime mints that are available. You drop them, and our mint button and the mint site, which we now give people totally for free, hosted mint sites, support all of this functionality through the UI. You don't have to do a thing. When it comes to renewals, we give you a button for people to go and renew so they can see how much time they have left and also renew. And the mint site handles that as well. Also, our custom marketplace will soon show the expiry time on the listings. So when you launch a custom marketplace with us, you will actually have the ability to see how much time is on it so that you don't have holders who accidentally buy a token that's going to expire in a day, right? Like maybe you have a new buyer coming in and they're like, oh, I want to buy in. Well, it's like, okay, this one only has a day left. I'm not going to buy that one. So like these are the powers that we give you. And the old way of minting NFTs should go away and become a nice to have, and the new standard going forward should be subscriptions. Because that's the only way to build something actually sustainable and long term.
I mean, you just have to, I'm going to say this over and over again. and also a good way to hit the theme, the high level theme that we're trying to go for here, which is where is value derived, right? And value should be derived from your holders, right? Value should be derived from the people who care. Should not be derived from trading. Should not be derived from floor gouging, right? You should be focusing on where people are giving you value, and you have to be incentivizing that behavior, which is by providing true utility for your holders. Remember, the key word here is holders, not traders. Your holders.
Holders.
Yeah, but
your subscribers.
Exactly. Like and subscribe. Hit that like button, please. Thank you for listening to our podcast. But anyways, Tim, any other thoughts that you want to give to to creators or people on this podcast listening? This is really a really interesting new shift. I think we'll have more to say about this as the coming weeks go by and we see more adoption. But is there any last things you want to tell listeners about this awesome stuff that we have going on with subs?
No, I hope that you as a creator, you go and try it. Deployment on mainnet fee is only like $20. It's a very cheap contract to deploy. Also, this is possible on all the other chains we support. So don't feel like you're locked on ETH. You can do subscriptions on every single other chain we offer, all 7. And if you just want to launch a regular NFT collection, you can, of course, always do that with Mintplex. So we are offering subs as an option. We think it is a better option. But of course, if you just want to stick with the regular stuff, we will always support you in that. We will always support the creators, regardless of whatever they're trying to build. We just hope to steer people in a better direction that's more sustainable. That's all.
Absolutely. Which is why we used to call it ERC 721 Sustainables.
Yeah, that's actually why we called it. Yeah. So,
All right. Awesome, Tim. Well, thank you once again so much, listeners, for listening in. And also thank you, Tim, as always, for your time. This is a little bit of a shorter episode, but we just wanted to, say hello. Yeah. Talk about subs.
And chill subs, because I'm telling you, anyone listening to this podcast has an extreme amount of alpha right now. I know we have a smaller distribution, but if you're listening to this podcast, you were just told what the future of NFTs look like, and it's on you to capitalize on that.
It's on you. Hey, be the first Bored Ape or blue chip that does this right. And we'll be here to make that all happen. So anyways, once again, if you have not already, follow us on our socials, and give Jake a shout out when you can. If you do follow us on those socials, Jacob's doing an amazing job. He's been doing our Twitter stuff now. You should be seeing a lot more Twitter threads in the coming weeks. So Mintplex NFT, our YouTube channel is always posting videos now, also because of Jake. And if you're watching this, then you already know. And we're going to be exploring some other new distribution like TikTok, YouTube Shorts. We write articles on Medium every so often. Actually, we had an interesting amount of people subscribe to our newsletter the other day, which is crazy. So we're going there as well. So please, if you haven't already, support us where you can, and always launch on testnet, and always use our intercom if you need anything from us.
And for those of you who have been supporting us this entire time, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And we're, no WOGME here, but that's a dated term at this point, but we're all doing fine. So with that, we'll talk to you all in the next one in a couple weeks, and have a great start to, to your spring.
Yeah, it's spring. So
all right.
Time to see you blossom.
Oh, exactly. April showers. All right. Bring May flowers. So let's see some of your projects flower. All right. All right. All right. Peace.